Hey, what's going on, guys? Yesterday, I got a comment on YouTube from somebody who wanted to learn more about building muscle as an older person. The guy was 62 years old. He is looking to put on some muscle, and he doesn't know what direction to go. So, the biggest thing I want to convey to those of you who might be a little bit older, and when I say older, I think age is a relative thing, but let's say we're talking about people who are ages 40 and above. I'm 37 years old today, and I feel it. I feel it. Recovery time takes a little bit longer. I have to put a lot more effort into my diet in order to really make sure that it's working, and it takes a lot of willpower sometimes to get up every day, to get to the gym and to train with all the other stuff that I've got going on in my life. And I know that doesn't get any easier as you're getting older. But there's some things that we really want to consider for those of you who are older, who are motivated as heck, and you want to go out there and you want to build some muscle. And the first thing you need to think about is this. One, you need to know your body. All right. Now, knowing your body means a few different things. First, you need to know where your blood markers are. You need to know whether or not you're deficient in hormones, whether or not you're deficient in different types of minerals and different nutrients. And if you're deficient in one of those things, then there's likely going to be a problem that can cause a real negative cascade and can inhibit both your ability to build muscle, but more importantly, can inhibit your ability to have good health. And so you really want to go get a hormone panel done. I'm not saying to wait to start training until you've done that, but it could be an important piece in actually getting you to where you want to go into being healthy. So you want to go get a hormone panel done. You want to make sure you're checking things like your testosterone, your progesterone, your estradiol, your DHEA, your growth hormone levels, everything. And the reason why you want to get all of that checked is because a lot of people, when they're thinking hormone deficiencies, they're automatically thinking testosterone. But you could be deficient in a bunch of different things that could cause a negative cascade that can seriously affect your life and your body. We just had Dr. Mark Gordon on the podcast. He's one of the preeminent interventional endocrinologists in the world, and he was discussing how important it is to look at not just testosterone, but its precursors like DHEA and pregnenolone. And it's really important to treat those if there's a deficiency in them, and not just to inject people with testosterone. And in addition to that, you could be deficient in certain minerals like zinc or vitamin D, or nutrients like vitamin D that can cause a hormonal deficiency. So you really want to be looking at all of this, and you want to get a qualified person to look at your blood and to tell you exactly what you need, both through potential therapies, through your nutrition, and through your supplementation plan. The next thing you really want to think about is training and things that you should be doing, things that you want to avoid doing. Now, when I say things you want to avoid doing, I'm not talking about specific exercises or anything like that. I'm talking about practices, things like lifting too much weight for yourself, things like, over training and going to the gym, doing things like running every day, 3, 4, 5 miles a day can really have a negative effect on your hormones, your adrenal glands, and things like that. Doing poor form on any lift can lead to injury that's going to put you out. So you really want to get rid of those poor practices. And in your training, one of the things you need to understand is that you're going to be different from a lot of the 18, 20, 21-year-olds you see here on YouTube. You're gonna need to really focus on your form. You're going to really need to focus on your posture, and you're going to really want to focus on using lifting to strengthen your foundation, to prevent injuries in your older years, and to use it for all its benefits. Yes, it can help you to build muscle, but the important factor here is that we're preparing you. And this is one of the things, we hear about people who they lift for, from the time they're 18 till they're 45, and then they hang it up and they stop doing it. It's really important that you include a strength practice in your workouts for the rest of your life, because strength is the most transferable skill, right? We see almost every major athlete is using strength training right now. But not only are those skills transferable to sports, they're transferable to life. So you don't want to be the guy who bends over when you're 70 years old and can't get up because he threw his back out. You don't want to be the guy who falls and breaks his hip because his bones were too weak. You know, strength training is going to increase your durability. It's going to increase your ability to take a little bit of punishment and come out okay. All right, so that's one of the reasons why I want to do that. You also really want to make sure that you're including a mobility practice, and a movement practice. And the reason why those two things are important is because when we're talking about mobility, we're talking about the ability to articulate your joints to a full range of motion, even under stress. And the difference between mobility and, say, something like flexibility, a lot of people stretch, but flexibility is passive. That increases your ability to be put into a certain position. Mobility, when we're talking about mobility, we're talking about the ability to put your body into the proper positions. And so, again, this is important because as we get older, scar tissue builds up from lack of movement, from sitting down all the time, and a lot of times that can create different pathologies or abnormalities in your movement that can seriously inhibit you moving safely, and that could lead to increased risk of injury, and that could lead to the potential of you throwing your back out from bending over. So it's really important that we're doing things like foam rolling, like using a lacrosse ball to go over different areas, like loosening up our hips with a lacrosse ball, like rather than sitting for 6 to 8 hours a day, getting up every 45 minutes and doing a set of air squats, walking around, doing things like that. So you really want to focus on making sure that your movement patterns are normal and functional. The next thing, of course, is nutrition. And the biggest thing you've got to understand about nutrition as you get older is that, again, you can't eat like you did when you were 18. You can't eat like you did when you were 30. You can't eat like you did when you were 20. And that's because your body can't handle as many calories as a lot of these kids can. It probably can't handle sugar the way it used to. As we get older, we get less and less insulin sensitive. And you really don't want to be overloading your digestive system, which when you get older, decreases its amount of digestive enzymes and could potentially have an imbalance in probiotic bacteria, causing an imbalance in the gut microbiome. You don't want to be loading protein and calories into your digestive tract. Different types of studies have shown that protein in amongst older people could potentially increased risk of cancer. Again, that's just a single study. That was a USC study done a few years ago. But it's not really about that. It's more about giving your body what it can handle and not overloading it with things that are going to put stress on your system and increase levels of inflammation. So it's really important that you look at your diet, that you make sure it's right for you at the moment, and that it's not some template that somebody else is giving you. And you should be basing what you eat and your nutrition off of those tests I mentioned earlier, in seeing what your body needs and what you can give it. You also need to give it what it can handle, and you need to be taking care of your digestive tract with probiotic bacteria and digestive enzymes. And I'm going all over the place here, guys. Sorry, I don't want to get back to the point. If you want to know more about that stuff, I can go into another video. That's pretty much that. The other big thing, again, is preserving insulin sensitivity. So I highly suggest moving, again, as much as possible, increasing your physical activity, going out on walks during the day, going out on runs, doing things like light metabolic conditioning, not the crazy metcons that we see a lot of CrossFitters doing, but getting your heart rate up, doing interval workouts and things like that. And including those in your routine, because those will help to increase your insulin sensitivity and allow you to continue to build muscle. Now, I know that's a lot of information I'm putting out there. I know that sometimes I have the tendency to throw disorganized thoughts out there. So if you have any questions, just hit me up at info@warriorsoulapparel.com. I hope this was informative. If you have anything else, just let me know. And that's that. Peace.